Well, this is another episode of True Self, and I'm here with Carina. Introduce yourself, Carina.
Hi, so I'm Carina. I am a wardrobe stylist, costume designer. I also have a little shop on the side, like Camilla does. She got a thrift shop. That's awesome. Um, yeah, and I'm super excited to talk about this topic that we dove into kind of just like on the fly. But
So I thought about this topic. Let me get the name together because sometimes when I like have a name, I go back and forth between two names. It's just the way it always is. Not making your passion your career, your identity. And I think that me and Karina are like kind of on similar paths on like our passions and career paths and our entrepreneurships is like in the same boat somewhere. She's a bit more into directing, actually films. I'm more of a documentary person.
yep.
But yeah, so I think that's we connected. Actually, May will be a full year that we knew each other.
Yeah,
That's
that's
insane.
crazy. I honestly feel like I've known you longer, but I feel like it's because we have a lot of similarities, like you telling me about like A24 films, and that's something that you're interested in, and us also connecting on like how we grew up and like
Yeah.
things like that. I just felt like I automatically connected with like your energy
Aw.
and the vibes, you know how crazy
Yeah.
it was when we
Yeah. So I came up with four questions, 444. I'm trying to do the 444 thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So kind of
Jay-Z, I remember.
like with KBOnTheRoad, I like to go down the journey and like into like where you are now and like when you began, because I can talk about like when I began styling and when it became my identity in the same, because like it's a brief history of mine is like I started styling when I was 15, and then like my family is very much like it's not a real job. And then when I started to really make strides and like my friends were impressed by it, I got very like, okay, this is who I am now. And it
Like that
kind of,
solidified.
yeah. So that, I wrote that this morning actually. Where did I put that? When I started to do the things that I love and my route was different from people, a light went off in my head. And I was like, wow, people think this is cool. And I think that's what kind of associated me with like, this is who I am. I'm just a stylist. And then it just kind of warped into just that's the only thing I'm about. That's the only thing people know me of. Even if I see
Yeah.
somebody from high school, they be like, "Oh, you still doing that styling?" It's the same thing.
It's synonymous with who you are, like in
Yes,
their head.
because like coming from a Caribbean background, that's definitely how it starts. And like you're not accepted in the household, but people outside start to accept you more. Like the friends
Oh,
start to. Isn't that true?
yes, 100%. Even to this day, like I feel like I've accomplished like quote unquote success in my eyes with styling and doing costume design now and things like that. Even in the most recent future, and I still feel like my family and my parents are like, what do you do? Or kind
Right.
of like they don't understand those like artsy jobs, I guess you would say, or things
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Like me and my cousin always joke about this one thing. Like Jamaicans be like, "Oh, why you not a nurse?" So you, they was like,
Oh my
"Why you always gotta stop at a nurse? Why you can't be a doctor?"
Oh my
Me and her
God.
used to joke about that all the
Exactly.
time. They just want you to stop at nurse. They don't want you to reach higher. It's just so weird.
No, exactly. It's
Hmm.
almost like you doing too much. Like that's what it feels like to me.
So tell a bit of like your background and your story.
Yeah, so when I first started, I thought I wanted to be a fashion journalist. So I actually went to school for journalism, and then I my friend Chanel, she that I told you about, she put me on to my first styling gig, and I was like, oh wait, I love manipulating clothing in this way. I mean, growing up in New York, like I guess in high school and in school, you always want to look fly for school. So
Yeah.
I always made sure I had a job when I was really young, just so I could buy things and style things on myself
Yeah.
um, in a way that I wanted. Like even when I went to a prep school, I would like manipulate my garments to make them look cute for me. You know, I
Mhm.
was always getting in trouble for wearing the wrong sweater or like for manipulating my clothes. So I think I always had the bug in me even before I started my career path.
Mhm.
And then when I had my first styling gig, I was like, oh snap, like I could really make a career out of this. And then I started doing more assistant gigs, just fashion styling gigs, working more with like celebrities.
Mhm.
And then I interned at Oscar de la Renta
Oh,
when I was
nice.
at FIT. Yeah, and then I learned like the fashion PR side, more like how to sell it and how, you know, like more of a marketing perspective on that with clothes. And I think that's what also fueled my business for wanting to do thrift clothing and wanting to put it on people.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then from there, I did just that for a while,
Mhm.
but I didn't feel like I was satisfied. And I think that the pandemic happened and I had like a switch in my head where I was like, I don't want to just put pretty clothes on people. I want to tell a story with clothes.
Word, I feel you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just took a costume design course at FIT to really learn the mechanics. Like, what does it mean to be a dresser? What does it mean to be a wardrobe
Mm.
supervisor? I just wanted to know the technical terms. And actually, to be frank, I sucked at the course because I was just there for information. I wasn't really there to do assignments. Like I'm the kind of person where I'm like I take what I need and then I put it in my own, you know.
Mhm.
I didn't do well in the course, but I knew it was what I was meant to do. Even so much so that the teacher was like, "You're not gonna make it in this industry." Like, yeah, they were like, "You didn't do any of the assignments." But whatever. Like I still knew how to manipulate clothes, and I knew that this is what I was meant to do, and I did it. So
But look where you are now. So, see.
exactly.
Like my first question was gonna be because I noticed something like during the pandemic. Yeah, we all kind of got an awakening of like where am I, what I want to do with my life, and all that type of like self reflection. So like, how did you know what signs? How do you know, or what are the signs when someone makes their career, passion, their identity?
The signs. Oh man. I think it's what you were saying about there being a calling in you. I think
Hmm.
that's the first thing that is really hard to describe to people, I find. When I say a calling, there's no like real physical way to describe it.
Yeah.
It's like this feeling that you get, it's like a bug almost that you're like,
Hmm.
oh, like, and I feel like that is what then drives you to put it into
Yeah.
motion,
That's what I was
right?
thinking of. Like when you began to go on that journey, you start to like um, go, 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 and it just kind of consumes you and
Yeah.
just kind of takes over. And it's like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. And that's like one of the first things that kind of like this is me now. It's like
Yeah.
it consumes your life and you kind of get lost in that too at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because also it is then associated with your identity, but also with money, you know. And then with money, you got to
Man.
keep that drive going. It's like it's a weird balance because it's your identity as an entrepreneur, and you want to build longevity in your brand or who you are,
Hmm.
but also you want to make the coin too. So
Yeah.
it can
Money plays
really
a
be
big part
hard
in that.
to mix the two together. And I believe what we were talking about before is just making sure, or at least for me, like I think self care in that and not experiencing burnout is so important.
Hmm.
Um, because we are still human at the end of the day, you know, we're not just these robots that. And I think you do a really good job of that,
Who?
honestly. You!
Of
I feel like
what?
you have, yeah, I feel like you have all of these hobbies, but then you
Uh,
have all of your businesses laid out. It's really inspiring. So,
oh wow, thanks. I just be
mm,
try- I feel like it's a whole mess at this point.
no. No, you
So
make it look good.
thank you. And then I had another one was tell me a story when you recognize your passion and your career was intangible, like all in your identity at once. Like when did you recognize it?
I think it was at a really young age. I want to say maybe like 11 or 12.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it honestly started with me. being a bridesmaid in a lot of my family's weddings. Like
Yeah.
I was a professional bridesmaid at one point. Like us
Mhm.
Puerto Ricans, we have like 10 children, we get married 12 times. And there's always a wedding happening at some point.
Mhm.
So I think at those events, I was always like styling my cousins. I was always doing makeup on people. I was always like putting things together since I was really young. And I think that on top of me already styling myself for school was something that was like natural.
Yeah.
Even, oh my God, wait, you know what? I remember drawing things out, now that you say it, for my Barbies when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And I would have my mom like make them with the sewing machine out of like whatever
Mhm.
materials were around, whether it was like curtains or
Yeah.
something. I'd be like, oh, that'd be a cute skirt, or like,
Aw.
things like that.
Yeah, I remember like at my church we had me and my friend Michelle. We did this. We had a Fashion Connect group, and right when the pandemic happened is when we was really taking off with it. And I remember one of the girls asked this question, and I was like really like impressed by the question. She was like, when was the time you realized you love fashion? One story popped up in my head. I was like, I'll never forget this story. So is that one of the stories that you would say that's when you realized you love fashion and costuming?
I think so, but I think that I it's weird because I guess now I associate fashion with like trends, and then I
Mm-hmm.
associate like clothes with like something that's more like personal. Like I feel like when I get dressed in the morning, I feel like I'm using my body as a canvas kind of
Oh,
like, and I'm
cool.
manipulating things. So it's a different, I don't know, I guess thing in my brain, but I guess for fashion, definitely going to my first show, like going to my first show at Oscar de la Renta
Mm-hmm.
and seeing like garments on a runway and like being around like real fashion people like Anna Wintour, Andre Leon Talley. That's when I was like, oh shit, like this is amazing. Like I
Yeah.
love this energy. I love not only seeing the people on the runway, but seeing the people who show up and how they represent themselves. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, this is something that
Aw,
is amazing.
that's
Yeah.
cute. My story is way not like that.
But tell me, yeah, what's up?
Um, okay, so it was like dead of the summertime, and I was like, I'm gonna wear these cute like boot sneakers outside with this cute outfit I had. And when I tell you, it was so hot outside. My feet were baking in those like boot sneakers.
You gotta do it for the look, though.
That's when I knew. That's when I knew I loved
Yes.
styling and fashion because I was like, I suffered so much.
Oh my god, I love
I
that.
was like so hot. I'll never forget that. It was like these
Oh no.
sneakers, boots that my sister had got, and I borrowed her sneakers. They were like black and they had like beige. It looked very before its time, like very
Yeah,
like a space boot type vibe, but like a
I
sneaker.
love that.
They look like um those Reeboks that what you call it designed curvy. They look like that. They were before
Really?
its time. Yo,
What?
those
That's
sneakers look like
amazing.
that. So I'll never forget me like really suffering for the look.
Oh my god. You know what? I have done that with heels. I was a heel girl.
Yeah.
I already told you this.
Mhm.
I think it's so funny how you say that about shoes because I feel like growing up, there were shoes that I wore just for family gatherings that were
Mhm.
uncomfortable that I wore in the house, like in the sala,
Mhm.
just for like festivities.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But that's when I wore like my more uncomfortable shoes, like just for the look.
Yeah.
But I was still out there every day when I went to work in heels, even in like going to school and class. I would also wear heels. So I was definitely a heel girl,
Oh,
like
cool.
chunky heels, boots for a really long time.
Oh my gosh, the things we did. I used to have like arm
Yes.
warmers. I was walling out.
Yes. I know. And I'm
Um.
like, I'm taking the subway with these heels too. I'm like,
Oh,
oof,
you was crazy,
a
and you was
lot.
wearing them all day and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. This girl in at one of my first jobs when I was working at this nonprofit, she called me ankles because even in like the winter time, I always had heels on. She was
Uh,
like, why your ankles always out?
That's hilarious. Okay, so question, that was a bonus question, by the way. What do you think that I gotta make it mentality stems from? Like
Oh
you
my
said
God.
before, it's like money too is also in it.
Yeah. I think I always wanted to make my own money even when I was young.
Hmm.
But it was really always associated with fashion. Like I always just wanted to look, put my looks together.
Yeah.
So I think that that drive, I think it's partially from family. Like my grandpa on my mom's side was a real entrepreneur. Like he bought real
Oh,
estate in New York and in Puerto Rico not long ago, and that's the only reason like my family has like a house now, and why my grandma has a house to live in. So I feel like it's genetics, like a little bit. I want to think anyway,
yeah.
but then I also think that it comes from me wanting to be independent and yeah, just fend for myself. I think I've always been in that mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. It does stem from family because my mom is very driven and she did a lot of, even though she never talked about it, you always just knew. I feel like kids just know and you
Yes.
just see, and learning visually is what kids do in like the first couple years and you don't
Mm.
even notice it. But yeah, I learned that from my mom too. Gotta go, gotta make it. And remember when I did like an off Broadway costuming assistant thing, and then and then I was like a coordinator for a costume shop, and then I was doing some other job. Had three jobs, and my friend was like, "You're so Jamaican. You got three jobs."
Yes, but but honestly, that's how you're able to manage everything you're doing right now, though, because your
That's
scheduling has
true.
to be like on point. Like,
That's true. I'll be slacking in the
that's
last year,
amazing.
but I'm getting it together again. Yeah, so it's like I feel like 2019 was like that last year. I was really like that. And now I know what peace is now because of like how the world shifted in 2020. Like I no longer have to run for things anymore. It was like it's going to come to you if it's meant for you. And
Oh
people
my
have to
God.
understand that.
So interesting because I do feel that too. Like, I feel like I was hustling, hustling, hustling. And at one point, it just shifted where I'm like, all right, now I trust my journey. Now it's just about
Yeah.
trusting it and going with the flow. That's so crazy.
But my friend moved here from California recently and I was just trying to tell him like you're gonna be okay. Like you have to trust
Yeah.
it. And you're a man of faith too, so I'm like, yo, you're gonna be fine. But you know, sometimes when you're in that, you don't want to hear that. Like
Yes. Yes.
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't
I feel
blame
like some
him.
people need to realize it themselves because that's when it's true. Yep.
Look, they said the wise learn from people that have been through it. Okay?
That's
That's what they
right.
say. And I try to learn from
Yeah.
people that have been through it. And sometimes I don't understand, you know, yeah, I just like to learn from other people that's been through it instead of me trying to figure it out on my own. Like if you've been through it, put
Yes.
me on because I need to learn. Let me figure out the easier route so I don't struggle. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I tell honestly Brian that all the time. I'm
Yeah,
like, you didn't invent this. It's already invented. Just learn and then like go on your own path.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's good advice. I got to make it. It's like it was really exhausting. Burnout is a real thing. It was crazy. I was like even serving at church too, doing all those things. I
yeah.
remember just crying and breaking down and just like asking God, why is this happening? And instantly, you did this to yourself, came to me.
Right. Like
You chose
Jesus,
this.
this is you. Yes.
So, fourth question is, what do you take steps to unlearn some of the toxic traits? What are the
Oof,
steps?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's real. I try to journal and write things down a lot
Hmm.
and be self-aware. And before, I feel like I would get frustrated with myself, but now I speak to myself with care, if that makes sense. Like
Oh, that may,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm like, okay, you're wrong about this, but that's okay. Like think about it, analyze it, and how can you do better next time? Because like I feel like when we're hard on ourselves, it only makes the journey worse. So
Yeah.
I feel like there should be bravery in realizing your mistake and what you did, but then also being like, I bet this is what happened. It's
Yeah.
done. Let's move forward.
Yeah. It's so, I feel like the unlearning stage of like all the toxic traits you learned along the way of your journey, it's so hard. It's
It
really
is.
difficult, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, difficult because it's like, one, you have to be aware of the shit you're doing. Two, you have to realize that what other people are doing it might not be right and figure out how to do it in a healthier way.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, knowing yourself, I feel like is the first step for me, at least for
Yeah.
me. Like
Yeah.
really coming in tune and then realizing, like, I think that my family members are very like, oh, we don't like to address things,
Oof.
we like to just let things blow over and
Yeah.
not, and I'm not that person. And then I had to be like, Karina, you have to be okay with knowing that you're not that person, but also
Yeah.
being okay with getting that feedback that you don't want to hear, being that person,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
that's okay. I had to really do some soul searching for that. That took a while. Oof.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I screenshotted something recently that I saw from this. I follow this poet. I love him so much. Anyway, it says,
Yeah.
our value is in what we claim, not in what others celebrate.
Oof.
So I remember this very vividly because my friend used to do this all the time. Like my best friend, like I understand where it comes from. Like when she used to introduce me to people, she used to be like, "Oh, this is Camilla, my friend. She runs a thrift store and she like styles celebrities and she does this." She used to do that all the time when she introduced me. She did like a whole like roster of, like what I did. So it like started to bother me like as I got a little older, and I'd be like, "You don't have to introduce me like that. Like you just let shit come out naturally of what I do. Like don't have that to be my thing that people know me about. Like let them get to know me and all the other stuff comes after. You know what I mean?"
Yeah. 100%. I think I'm guilty of doing what your friend did,
Mhm.
but I think I had to unlearn that because I think in the beginning, like, I saw it as an opportunity to connect people, like in a networking
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
But then I realized that what if y'all don't want to connect? Like,
Yeah.
that vibe has to be very natural in order to really to build itself in the way that it's supposed to build. So
Yeah. That's how
I get
I
it.
hate networking so bad. But
Yeah.
like it's because like I never want to feel like I'm selling myself. You know that feeling like you have to put yourself on display. So I had to like kind of like I thought I was weird because I didn't like it, but then I
Yeah.
talked to other people like I hate it too. Like I
Yeah.
like organic things. I like things coming out the way it should come out, and I've met some amazing people that way.
Yeah.
And like all like people will remember me from like stuff that I've done before and like connect me with the right people. That's literally how I get most of the jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Through networking and being yourself, 100%.
Right. So yeah.
On the job that I'm working on now,
Hmm.
um, so I'm working with Manny, like he's helping me with
Oh,
like the customer,
cool.
right? And
Hmm.
then I'm not gonna mention the costume designer on the show. You already know who it is, but he asked me about him, and I was like, I didn't tell him much information because I was like, you should be asking the questions. Like I don't like to be the person that connects the dots
Yeah.
anymore. I'm
Hmm.
like, you go ahead and introduce yourself, be a human, like y'all connect,
Hmm.
and you have that build that camaraderie.
Yeah.
So I guess my question for you is
Mhm.
that do you feel like you in introducing your industry friends
Hmm.
to other people,
Yeah.
do you feel like you like what's your process in doing that?
Um. Um.
You,
The thing that I do, I think, is more like if someone reaches out and like is looking for something specific, or if you know somebody that does this, I'd be like, oh yeah, I think I have somebody, and that's how I connect people in that way.
Mm,
Um, Other than that, I feel like I've been like, oh, why didn't you tell me that blah 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 did this? I'm like, oh, okay, I forgot to mention that. Like,
got you,
but
got
that's
you.
usually how it goes. Like someone will reach out to me and asking if I know somebody that does this or that.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense. Because then it's like a very specific project, and then you connect them, and you know what's good for them.
yeah. That's usually. I feel like that's the best way sometimes. Like my homeboy reach. I remember like the most odd question I ever got was like, "Yo, you know an entertainment lawyer?" I was like, ah. And I knew exactly what he needed an entertainment lawyer for, because you need those entertainment lawyers to like do like book deals, contracts, or like TV and stuff. Um, so I knew that's probably what he needed it for. I'm like, I know a lawyer, and I'm gonna reach out to that person, and then I'm gonna see
Yep.
if he know another lawyer.
Got you.
That's
That makes
literally how
perfect sense.
it happened.
Yes,
And he was like,
yes.
"Oh, I got somebody," and I was able to. I never knew if he ever contacted. I never asked, because I am the type, like, even though I know what everybody does, I don't really pry into like what's going on in the projects they're doing now. Yeah,
Do you feel like you don't pry because a part of the journey as an entrepreneur is like being quiet about projects? Like,
I respect that because people are like that. So that's why I
yeah,
don't ask questions. Like, especially my homeboy, like, I wait for him to tell me things. He's doing so
yeah,
many amazing things. And then, like, now he's open to be like, yo, this is going on. This is going on now. I'm like, wow, look at him now. He done grew up. He's telling
yeah,
me all this stuff that's going on, so I don't have to ask. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so I was just asking about like what sacrifices or like boundaries you set for yourself, but also with those around you in order to like remain focused on your goals, but
ooh,
also keep all of it kind of intact. You know what I mean? Like the mental, the da da da, the
um,
balance.
damn. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I think that I haven't even gotten there yet. I think
Okay.
that because when it comes to just people around me, I think that it was one thing I noticed from the beginning of like KB in your closet would be to make sure I have people that support what I'm doing,
Yes.
and like not have anybody kind of like doubting any type of creativity, any type of like entrepreneurship, because it was so hard in the beginning to even get started, because it was just like I had a bunch of people like kind of was like, oh, that's not going to work out, that's not going to work out. And I had to surround myself with people that really was going to be on some like, I believe in this, I am going to support you. And I, it's just crazy because yesterday I met up with my friend Martha, and she was just like, I realized that she's, damn, I don't want to cry. But I realized that she's been supporting me from the beginning, like,
Oh, that's beautiful.
and like going into the 7th year of KB Closet, it just like kind of like made me remember, like, she was there at the first pop up, she was there at the second, she even bought for me, and just like
Mm,
those are the type of people I noticed from the jump that I needed. And I realized the hard way that you can't share everything with everybody.
yes,
So you had to
100%.
really pick and choose. And through this journey, I made some really great like creative friends. And I remember one birthday, I had one person that was like a 9 to 5, and they were like, "Does everybody just create things that just here? Like, no one has a 9 to 5." I was like, "Nobody has a 9 to 5 here."
Yes.
So it's
Oh
like
my,
I decided to consciously just have creatives around me.
no, I love that. I
Yeah,
think the reason that I asked that is because I think I'm still building that community for myself,
yeah. Mm,
where I think a lot of this of my time is spent either um, doing my personal projects and building, but also spending time with family. And I think because my family is they just don't get it, so they don't even know how to be supportive. I think that I
mm,
focus on those boundaries and things because
mm.
of that,
Yeah,
where I'm still, I guess, building my tribe, of creatives
yeah. Oh, I didn't
things like
realize you didn't have that.
No, girl, oh my God. Like, remember I was telling you, like, I've had so many people either
I'm
come
so
into my
shocked.
life
Oh
and
yes,
like
you've been through it. Mm,
steal my ideas or like just use me for my creative abilities,
yeah,
but never really wanted to support me in my endeavors. So, yeah,
man. I'm so sorry.
it's okay.
So one
I
thing I
feel
really
like
had to let go in the beginning too is like not sharing anything with family. So I stopped doing that all the time.
I'm learning that now. I'm like,
I
what?
just
Like,
don't even when it comes to
hmm
anything business wise or what's coming up or I don't really share that anymore. I stopped that and it's like I feel like that's why it's very a general idea what I do, but not all the way like details. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, I love
Because it protects your peace. One, like,
that. Yeah,
like I had to learn that the hard way, man. So yeah,
I
protect your
definitely,
peace, Karina. Protect your peace.
I'm learning. I'm learning. I need it for real.
That's a good question, though. I thought I haven't gotten there yet, but I realized I did get there.
Yeah. I think you're like you've like passed it. Like you're like next on the the next plane, a level of creativity.
That's true. I didn't realize. I was like, I don't even know if I've been there yet, but yeah, because it was so hard to be like, when I started KB class, I had lived with my sister at the time, and she was so negative. She was so down on everything I was doing. Like, oh, nobody's buying offline. Oh, um, the people that's donating clothes, they got cats because I think I'm getting allergic. Like, she would say shit like that, and I'd be like, yo. And I was heavily into church at the time. I was like, yo, the devil is right in this apartment, yo. I swear to God.
Right. You're like
It
right
was,
next to me in this room. Like,
it was so bad, and it's just like so draining trying to always convince something. It was like,
yeah.
and that's why I had to realize that, like, even though it was a long journey of like kind of letting go of like the validation and kind of like always, I went through a season like always praying for family, always praying for family. And I remember like a voice told me, like, don't worry about them.
Yeah. Maybe that's all right.
They're gonna be okay. You prayed enough prayers, they'll be fine.
I love that. Yeah. I feel like I've just reached the level where I'm okay with being misunderstood and
Yeah.
I'm okay with whatever perception they have of me.
Oh
But
yeah.
like I said, I'm still like building that support system, I guess, of
hmm
creatives for myself, which is
Yeah.
why I'm so thankful I have you in my life because I feel like you're one of those people,
Aww.
you
I'm
know,
so
I can
happy
just
I
share
met
this
you
with.
for real.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so happy I met you because you are such a light, and I can't even figure out like how you've been in like some crazy situations. I understand like people have to go through things to learn things about different people and learn how to avoid certain things. I don't know if I've been there yet. I feel like you have to tell me so I can learn how to avoid mess.
Got you. Oh my God. You know what it is too? I think I like also want to believe in people. So I'm kind of just like,
Yes, you do have
it's all
that.
right. Like they'll get there. You know what I mean? Like everyone's on a journey.
Yeah.
But then when it goes sour, I'm like, girl, you knew this was gonna happen like from day one. You know?
But I would say that you handled a lot of situations. I think, I guess the other situations that happened to you has helped you like let go like situations much easier and move on because you was very much when we worked together you were like on to the next, we got to move on, we got to get it back. Like, I was like, oh my god, I'm still hurt that this happened. Like, I felt like I
Exactly.
held on so hard and it was like Karina that moved on.
Yeah. That's so true.
But it's a good thing to have, especially in a business like that. It's kind of like things change all the time, so you got to get with it, or you're gonna get behind. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God. I think that comes from being in fashion. Like it's also so cutthroat, you know?
Tell me about like how you reached kind of peace in the industry.
Okay, so I think once I decided I wanted to like work for myself, that's when the peace came. Because
Mm,
I think once I gained the experience that I needed to prosper in the way that I wanted to, I don't feel like I needed that validation anymore.
Mm,
And it
yeah.
was more about transitioning from personal success to like wanting to help others like achieve success. Like I
Hmm.
want to bring like Latinos, people of color into the industry
Yeah.
that don't get the representation that they need. So I feel like um, changing that goal also shifted that for me.
Ooh, that's important.
Mm.
Yeah. Changing, yeah, when you switch up a goal, it does kind of help put things in perspective. Or like
Yeah,
kind of going back to why you started something helps too.
exactly. Back to basics. Yep.
Back to the basics. Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I had to literally like kind of go through that and like how to relaunch. You have a question you want to ask people to ask themselves?
Oh, right, right. Oh my God, I love this part of the podcast. Okay.
Really? I take so much
Mhm.
joy in this.
Yeah, because it involves like introspection and all the things that all that deep shit that I like. So
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's so good to hear.
I think, what do I want
And
people to
actually,
ask?
you're like the first guest that's an active listener of True Self. Okay, I
Hey,
just
let's
want to
get
say
it.
you're the first guest that's an active listener because
Yes.
I be interviewing other people and they be like, "Oh yeah, 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 I heard one episode. Yeah, I got a question." I be like, "Thanks."
You're like, it's at the end every time.
Every time.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Oh my gosh. I think what I want people to ask themselves, like, what is your your motivator for success?
Mm,
Like, truly, what is your motivation? Because I
yeah,
feel like that helps me just as a reminder in keeping the balance with my career and all of the things. So,
yeah. Say that question one more time.
okay. So what is your motivator for your path or your success?
I love that. That's a good one. I love asking people about like what does success mean to them because it's something that I feel like changes. Do you remember the first time what you felt like success looked for you?
Oh my God, yes. It was so superficial in the beginning.
Mhm.
Like, I think I just wanted, because I didn't necessarily come from money, I think success was all like physical things in not a deep way. Like, I was like, all right, I want this Chanel bag. I want this and I want this.
Oh yeah,
And I
yeah,
want to accumulate all of this to like look cute, but also give off something that I guess at the end of the day, I realized that I'm not. Because I'm like,
yeah,
what I look like walking around with a Chanel bag in the middle of this New York? Like, you gonna get robbed. Like,
yeah.
relax.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think
So
that's
what is
kind
it
of like,
now? What does success look for you now?
oh my God, success for me now is being surrounded by a group of POC entrepreneurs, just making art and creating. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I love that. Thank you for coming on to the show. I appreciate you so much. And you'll be on the next episode too, by the way. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm
I
excited.
think we're going to be in
Please.
person because I have mics and everything. I should be able to go out and use them now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, let's do it. I'm down.
So thank you for joining. And I appreciate you so much.